Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the top 10 matches in all Elite Wrestling history. Now AEW has only existed for a little bit over a year, and in those times they've had a lot of good matches. But today me, is going to look at all those matches and give to you the top 10. Now, without any further ado, let's get started with number 10. Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho. Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho took place at AEW's inaugural pay-per-view, the inaugural show, Double or Nothing 2019. Now, this was a pretty good match. It wasn't as good as their match in New Japan, but what puts it on this list is it was their first ever big-time match. It was their first pay-per-view main event, and it had to be good. It was built up great. The story of this match was who is going to be the face of the company. Should it be Jericho? Should it be Kenny? Jericho won in a pretty good match, and I know most people just remember the post match, but this was a very, very good match and deserving place on this list. Moving on, number 9. This might surprise some people. Cody versus Wardlow. Now, the reason I put Cody versus Wardlow on here because it is their first ever steel cage match. That's a big deal. It is a history-making match, and just because of that alone, it should be on this list. Now, I have deeper reasons for putting this match on this list. One of those reasons was the story going into it. This match was kind of a background story to the bigger story of Cody versus MJF. And everything that went into this match, the whoopings Cody had to take. Let's not forget that. That was amazing. So yeah, that's why it's on this list. And it proved that Cody Rhodes is the best babyface in the business. Okay, guys, moving on to number 8. And it is also from that inaugural show, Double or Nothing, the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros. This match was insane. It had all the spots you would think of when you expect to hear of the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros. It had all the crazy stuff, and the real key to this match was its story. This match told the story that the Lucha Bros were killing it. They were wrestling on the independents twice a week, 3 times a week, while the Young Bucks haven't wrestled for months, and they were a little bit rusty, and they worked that into the match. The Young Bucks, it took them time to find their groove, and once they did, they picked up the shock win. So I really enjoyed that storytelling. People like to accuse the Young Bucks of not being good storytellers. Well, this was an amazing match. Moving on to number 7. A lot of people might disagree with this, but number 7 is Pac versus Owens Cassidy. Now, when people look at Owens Cassidy, he's a very divisive figure because his gimmick is he doesn't care. Now, when your gimmick is that you don't care, it's hard to work that in the wrestling ring. But him and Pac pulled it off. Because while Orange Cassidy was doing his play kicks and his hands in his pockets, what really sold it was for me that Pac didn't sell it. The key thing to those was Pac didn't take him seriously. Pac just thought, this little loser, I'm gonna squash this dog. Pac never took his fake offense seriously, and that was the key to this match. And after a while, Orange Cassidy began to try, and that really, really pissed off Pac. And then the match got serious, and then we saw, man, Orange Cassidy is a really good wrestler. He can really go. And then the crowd got amazingly into it. Like, I remember this one spot in the match where Pac was going onto the top face finisher, and Orange Cassidy just rolled like a slot. Rolled. It was an absolutely amazing comedy match. But not just a comedy match. It went from a comedy match to a very serious 50-50 match with Orange Cassidy showing he can go. Anyway, moving on to number 7. No, number 6. Nyla Rose versus Riho. Now, Nyla Rose versus Riho is an outlier good match in a women's division that has not been good. I'm personally going to say that the AEW's women's division has been lackluster. It hasn't been focused upon. It's not the girl's fault. I think there's a problem with management. But Nyla Rose and Rio on an episode of Dynamite delivered an absolutely cracking, amazing match, and it told a simple story of little woman versus big woman, little guy, big guy, and Nyla Rose dominated, and Rio was using her speed. It was an old story as well, speed versus strength. Rio was absolutely dancing, ducking, doing what she could, but at the end of the day, strength, power, size won the day. Nyla Rose won in her best match to date. It would be remiss of me to not put this match on the list. It was absolutely amazing. AEW's best women's match to date. And okay, moving on. Number 5, Cody versus Chris Jericho. This match took place at AEW Full Gear. This might be the best belt match in AEW history. This match started. The build to this match started on AEW Dynamite. It was their first few weeks of storytelling in that show. And Cody and Jericho absolutely told an amazing story going into this match. It saw Cody channeling his dad. Jericho being the best heel in the business. And the post-match saw the heel turn of MJF, which set up him as a future star. So in my opinion, this match was absolutely perfect. Moving on to number 4, a lot of people's favorite match. A lot of people say it should be number 1, but I'm putting it number 4. It was Cody versus Dustin. This match was almost universally praised. And the reason being, it was a story as old as time. Cain and Abel, brother versus brother. But what was amazing about this match was, it had all this history. Like these are two brothers. They know each other so well. It had Dusty Rhodes' legacy kind of in the background of the storytelling. Dustin Rhodes was blading so bad. Old school blading. So, yeah, it was an old school Mid-South wrestling match on an AEW card. And I think it was Dustin Rhodes' best match I've ever seen. I haven't watched his earlier work. I only know he's never beaten in the last 10 years. So this was my first experience of a great Dustin match. Yeah, it was really old school, emotionally driven match, and very deserving of its place on this list. And now, a match that's more to my taste. Number 3, Kenny Omega versus Pac on Dynamite. This was a 30-minute Iron Man match, and it was amazing. It was the Kenny Omega of old. It was the return of the best bout machine. This match had every single thing that you wanted to see from Omega. It saw him do his V-triggers. He had his dragon screws. He had his Tiger Driver 98. He had his Snapdragons. It was an absolute masterclass of wrestling. And Pac, like this match was on Omega, Pac gave Omega a lot. He was in there for the long haul. These guys killed each other for 30 straight minutes. It was perfect. There was a lot of neck stuff. They were just doing insane things for 30 minutes. These guys' stamina is on an other level. It's otherworldly how good these guys are. And yeah, this was the best Kenny Omega's looked ever since his time in New Japan. It was really the return of the best bout machine. And really a great deserver to be so high on this list. It's my number 3. Moving on to number 2. It's the most recent match at the time of this recording. It took place on AEW Dynamite 2 2020. It was the Elite versus the Inner Circle in a Stadium Stampede match. Now this match, in a time where cinematic matches are happening a lot, this might be the best. It was an absolutely bonkers, crazy match. I cannot go through all the spots in this match because there were just too many. But let me tell you, it was absolutely insane. Let me just go through my favorite spots of the match. Okay, so the Inner Circle come out in American football attire. And then Aubrey Everett's, the referee Aubrey, she blows a whistle. And they kind of just, like two armies running towards each other and start off a brawl. And we all kind of wonder, where's Hangman? Well, Hangman decides to show up on a goddamn horse. He's here to do some cowboy S-word. And then Sammy Guevara sees the horse. In his mind, has flashbacks to when Kenny and Matt drove him over with a golf cart. He starts running. He wants to, and yeah, Hangman decides to chase him with his horse, and Sammy decides, I'm gonna outrun a horse. And he does it. So Hangman chases him. He kind of sees, hey, he's feeling a little bit thirsty. He wants a little drink. He tells horse stop. He goes to the bar, and we don't see Hangman for a while. Another interesting spot in this match was Santana and Ortiz put Matt inside a pool, and he kind of changes his character. It was just incredible nonsense. Also, I like the spot where like we were told to believe that Matt Jackson was giving Sammy Guevara suplexes for 100 yards. Yeah, that is so funny. Okay, yeah, Jericho Judas uses Judas effect finisher on this guy in a costume. Him and Aubrey Evans were arguing with the 2 count. He kind of went to the replay, and the match ended with a sick one-winged angel off like the top of a balcony or something like that. It was insane. I highly recommend that you go and watch this match. And of course, number 1, the greatest tag team match of all time. One of the greatest matches of all time. It took place at AEW Revolution. It was the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Now, this match wasn't just an amazing athletic match. It wasn't just an amazing moves match. It might be the best story match I've ever seen. And not many matches can bring together story and big moves. And this match had over 5 years of story to it. It had the entire history of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. It had months of tension with Hangman and the Bucks. It was the culmination of an amazing feud in which the Young Bucks and Hangman have not been getting along. And Kenny Omega, the poor guy, has been caught up in it. There was lots of references to Bullet Club, lots of references to like the fallen friend Marty, and at the end of the match, there was the slight tease of a Hangman heel turn on Kenny Omega, and I guarantee you that eventual match between Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page is going to draw goddamn millions. It is going to be the biggest match ever because AEW is building it as the biggest match ever. So anyway, this has been my top 10 AEW matches in history. I'm so happy to do this. I'm looking forward to many more years of AEW, many more great matches of AEW. Maybe in a year's time I'll do this video again. But as for now, I'm signing off. Please do subscribe. Bye.